Hello, it's Friday tomorrow. My name's Mike.
And I'm Jake. Coming up in this week's show, we're going to be taking a look at many assassins as Assassin's Creed Odyssey's on the horizon.
See what you did there. Very clever. So there's a new Assassin's Creed coming out, and that's what a lot of the voiceover that is going to happen in a minute is going to be about. But also, we're going to take a look at some other Assassin's Creed games, because there's a lot of Assassin's Creed games.
Yeah, pretty much the good ones.
Yeah, we're going to go through a lot of them, and, because we basically haven't got the copy of Assassin's Creed Odyssey, so we can't review it. So that's why we're doing something else. Assassin's Creed is one of gaming's biggest, most frequently reoccurring brands. The first title in the series came out 11 years ago. Amazing to think that there's already been 400 Assassin's Creed games in that time. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the 401st title in the series, and it arrives on PC, PS4 and Xbox One this week. Set in ancient Greece in the year 431 BC, the story follows a fictionalized version of the Peloponnesian War. Ubisoft has gone to great pains to add to the well-established formula of third-person, open-world stabbing and tailing missions, with a big emphasis this time around on player choice. Anyone who watched any of this year's E3 will know that your choices matter in all the cool games that are coming out this year. In Odyssey, that means you choose to play as a man or a woman, you choose to align yourself with the Delian League or the Peloponnesian League, you choose what to say to characters and which characters to kick This Is Sparta style off a cliff, where they'll die immediately or land safely, depending on their health bars. Yes, enemies have health bars in Assassin's Creed these days, it's an RPG now. Well anyway, all this has gone down a treat with reviewers who, being the elite paid off cabal of Illuminati lizards that they all are, agreed to give it great reviews. Probably a big meeting sponsored by Ubisoft. Odyssey's got an 85 on Metacritic on PS4 based on 59 critics and 87 on Xbox One based on 22 critics.
So, another successful entry in the long run in Assassin's Creed series then. But let's take a look back over the last 400 games in the series, back to where it all began. The original Assassin's Creed launched in November of 2007 with a lot of marketing buzz for what at the time looked like an incredibly fresh and exciting game. The game's breathtaking cinematic teaser showed a mysterious assassin in the time of the Crusades, emerging from a crowd to murder a guy, then parkouring away, taking out a few guys on the way. It was, for all intents and purposes, a proof of concept, a sign of things to come. Open world, towers, hay bales to jump into, and 9 targets to stab in the face before conversing with at length about philosophy, right at the moment of death. It framed it all with the weird sci-fi future thing where it turns out you weren't actually a slinky assassin in the Crusades, but actually a guy called Damien Mills. Who can forget Damien Mills?
The series really truly sprang to life with 2009's Assassin's Creed 2. 2 years after the original, and the formula for Ubisoft's open worlds was really crystallised, with more towers to climb, sure, but also side quests, hidden dungeon like catacombs to explore, and a great protagonist in Ezio Auditore. It was set in Renaissance Italy with 4 huge areas to explore and a cracking story to sink your teeth into. Assassin's Creed 2 is a real cornerstone in the series' history, and in some respects where the series truly began. It spawned 2 spin-off sequels in Brotherhood and Revelations, which wrapped up the story of Ezio, but thankfully not that of series' real hero up to that point, Derek Miller, who speaks to an alien or something at the end. I can't remember.
In 2012, the series went through another major rebirth in the form of Assassin's Creed 3. With a drastically new setting and the addition of new gameplay mechanics like hunting, musket using and laundry ducking, Assassin's Creed 3 fell short of the great series reinvention that many had hoped for. Protagonist Connor was a bit of a drip, and despite the presence of an abrasive new fighting style, a cool new axe and something called a rope dart, it was all a bit crap. It was also the game where David Morales bravely sacrificed himself at the end. Don't worry about spoilers, it was shit.
For many, and by many I mean very much me, the series took a bit of a dive at Assassin's Creed 3. I couldn't really see how things would improve, and when I saw they were making the ship bit into a full game with Assassin's Creed Black Flag just 12 months later, I almost choked on my frosted shreddies in disgust at the sheer predictability of it. Plot twist though, this did turn out to be the best one in the series, at least for me. Black Flag became and remains the best pirate game ever made, again at least for me. In it you play as Welsh bastard Edward with Kenway. There is some vague relation to the Assassin's Creed story up to this point, but honestly, I don't remember any of it. What I do remember is dropping anchor with my ship, leaping off the deck into the sea, swimming to a beautiful Caribbean island, digging up some treasure, swimming back to the ship to be greeted with a chorus of cheers from my crew.
Then in 2014, there was another boat game, Assassin's Creed Rogue. No. Me neither. Also in 2014 was Assassin's Creed Unity, set in revolutionary France. It had cool new crowd tech which basically filled the game world with sprawling, dense crowds of people. Just don't look too closely at those people, alright? But again, it was a bit boring and the lead character Arno didn't do an amazing job of winning people over. Assassin's Creed Syndicate followed the year later, and for the first time it allowed players to control two characters, twins Jacob and Evie, running around the place in Crawley. Both were distinct individual characters that even had their own playstyles, Jacob being the fighter and Evie being the sneaker. This was actually a popular entry in the franchise, winning over critics and even some jaded players, but ultimately it sent a message to Ubisoft that something had to change.
And change it did. After taking a year off, the company released Assassin's Creed Origins, set in Egypt about 2,000 years ago. It's the one with the eagle in it. The latest entry in the series brought with it some notable changes. Combat was closer to something like Dark Souls rather than Batman Arkham, and critics praised it for the overall polish and having really nice pyramids. Generally, it went down a storm, and many fans fell back in love with the series after having a whole year apart from it. Alright then, so what's the best Assassin's Creed?
Assassin's Creed 1, I reckon.
No one thinks that.
Yes.
No one thinks that.
Yes, we've gone over this before, you know. And it is the best one. It was the one that was the most fresh. All the others are just working on that formula. But the first one, yeah, I like the...
Of course you think this. Of course this is your opinion.
Yeah, in that voiceover it's like, oh, for loads of people, the second game's... Nah, the first one's the best. The second one was when I had the second one, and I didn't get past it because it had all these icons, I turned it off. And then first one got the Crusaders in there, you got the Templars in there, you got a nice little bit of Jerusalem in there. Kristen Bell's in there. Kristen Bell.
Yeah, she was in it. Remember that? I didn't actually. Jake reminded me earlier, and I was astounded because I totally forgot.
Exactly, and the main character,
and she's
Darren
a diamond.
Aronofsky,
Tell me one thing she's not good in. She's very reliable.
Yeah, exactly. All reliable, like Ubisoft in their formulas. So the first one to set it, Assassin's Creed 1, deserves a little bit of credit. And I reckon everyone talks about Assassin's Creed 2, but they forget this important thing. Assassin's Creed 2 pioneered the let's fill your map full of loads of shit. All the things you think you like about Assassin's Creed and all the things you think you hate about Assassin's Creed, have a little think about it. And a lot of the things you don't like came about in Assassin's Creed 2.
No, that's very true. The Assassin's Creed 2 is what Assassin's Creed the series became for good and ill, because like exactly like what you're saying, it's got all the hallmarks of Assassin's Creed basically are in Assassin's Creed 2.
Good and bad. Yeah.
Good and bad. Yeah, it's totally true. And I remember at the time thinking this is great. And I remember Assassin's Creed 1 being a kind of 7. Whereas Assassin's Creed 2 was more of an 8 in the eyes of, you know, magazine reviewers and stuff. Went back when reviews were in magazines, not on websites, and it was like just this significant step up in terms of things to do. Because I remember enjoying Assassin's Creed 1, but running out of steam with it because I just hate like repetitiveness and stuff. And it was basically the same thing 9 times. Go here, scout the target out, do exactly the same missions, kill a target, talk to them about Jesus. Apple, Old Testament, philosophy, die. Because every time you stabbed someone, there was like you kind of stabbed them, then hugged them. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
you stab and hug.
You were like, you all of a sudden became like the Grim Reaper, and you were like greeting them into the afterlife, and they were always thanking you at the end, weren't they? Thank you, brother, and you were like, safe travels.
Yeah. I love how he suddenly sounds like a bus driver. Safe travel, no problem, mate. See you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Safe travels.
Because that was the thing, you had the code, do you know what I mean? You weren't like a complete thug.
The customer's always right. Yeah, so that was Assassin's Creed 1 is a bold pick. I don't think many would pick that. I'm not saying that you haven't got a case, but it's classic Jake to pick Assassin's Creed 1.
Mr. Guns better than Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah. What aren't you a hipster about us? That's what I but Assassin's Creed, I would say Assassin's Creed 2 over Assassin's Creed 1, but For me, as I said in the voiceover there, is Black Flag by miles is the best one.
Yeah.
And that wasn't a Desmond pun. It is just by miles the best Assassin's Creed game. I reckon the biggest problem with it is the Assassin's stuff. I always said, even at the time, after having played it and kind of discovering how much I loved it, because I was so cynical going into it, I was like, how can it be good? Because it's just the shit bit from the, and I was so skeptical of it being any good. But I flipping loved it. I think if you'd removed all of the Assassin's Creedy stuff in it, which almost makes it unreplayable for me. I kind of love the memory of it, but every time I go back into it, it's so heavy on Assassin's Creed
Animus or whatever. Yeah, you're
cookie
right.
cutter stuff.
You're right. If it was Edward Kenway, the game, it would have a better standing. It would go down in history a lot more because it would be, because it was a standout game in what's ultimately like a big bloated franchise. Yeah. And I think that if it was just a standout game on its own merits and there was no connection to a big bloated franchise, it would be remembered as a classic. Yeah. But the thing about Black Flag, everyone who's played it pretty much agrees it's awesome. But I don't think many people it's one of the ultimate best games of the gen. I reckon if it was like a standalone, people might have said
it's
best
pretty
game
divisive, I know of a few Assassin's Creed fans who love Assassin's Creed and like annual purchasers of the thing, and they do not like Assassin's Creed Black Flag at all. So it's quite polarizing
because of its differences. I suppose.
I think a lot of people really, really love it, and a lot of people hate it, which is interesting. But for me, the pick is Black Flag by miles. It's just the best one. I wonder what Liam thinks.
So if I had to pick the best Assassin's Creed game, I would have to say the second one is the best. In fact, I believe it's still the highest rated Assassin's Creed game on Metacritic. So why do I think it's the best? Well, it was the first game to have Ezio as the main character, who I think most people would agree is one of the better characters in the franchise. AC2 also had a good story, and the Renaissance Italy setting was pretty cool, and it gave you quite a few different regions of Italy to explore, like Florence and Venice. Basically, AC2 was just a massive improvement over the first game in pretty much every single way. It had better combat, better mission variety, and Ubisoft made the world more interactive, filling it with shop vendors, quest givers, and all sorts of different NPCs. It also had that side game where you could manage and upgrade Ezio's family villa, which acted as a headquarters for all things assassiny. The only thing I would actually complain about with Assassin's Creed 2 is those stupid feathers that were littered all over the place. Collecting them got boring pretty quickly, but that didn't stop me from collecting them all for some reason. So there you go. That's why I think Assassin's Creed 2 is probably the best game in the franchise.
So that was Liam from a remote bunker in Kazakhstan.
Yes.
So that's what Liam thought. Liam recorded as he's kind of like the sports correspondent or something like that.
Yeah.
That's what people are saying.
He's our agent on the field.
He is. He's the roving reporter. That's what it is.
Yeah. Here we are sitting up with our teapot, and
tell
he's
us
going
more,
out
Liam.
there doing that.
Yeah, and we're kind of like the news anchors. Anyway, Liam's done another thing. This time about driving. Forza Horizon. Which one is it?
4.
Forza Horizon 4. Take it away, Liam.
This week, I've been playing a bit of Forza Horizon 4, which released on October the 2nd for Xbox One and PC. Developed by Playground Games and published by Microsoft Studios, Horizon 4 is the latest entry in the Horizon sub-series and the 11th game overall in the Forza franchise. This time around, Horizon 4 shifts the action to a condensed version of the United Kingdom, and players control their own customizable avatar as they compete in the Horizon Racing Festival. And to be honest, I've been having a total blast with this game. It's some of the most fun I've had with a game so far this year. So here's my first impressions of Forza Horizon 4. The game kicks things off with a flashy introduction to its new tentpole feature, seasonal weather. As players progress through the game, the seasons can change from spring to summer to autumn and to winter. The seasonal weather has an effect on the game's open world, such as freezing over lakes in the winter, but then thawing them out again during the summer. Changing seasons can even affect the conditions of races. Now, the seasonal weather isn't as dynamic as I thought it would be, because the seasons are tied to a fixed schedule as dictated by the game's servers, but it does add some nice variety to the open world, and it gives players a reason to check back with the game occasionally to see how everything has changed and take part in seasonal events. Another new feature in Forza Horizon 4 is the ability to buy houses dotted across the game world. Buying these houses unlocks various items like outfits for players' avatars, and they offer gameplay bonuses like point multipliers. Perhaps the biggest change in Forza Horizon 4 for is the shared online world. If players are connected to the internet, they will be dropped into a seamless synchronized world with up to 72 players per session. This means when you're driving about the open world, you can encounter other players, and if you want to play with a group, you can set up something called a convoy, which is Forza's version of a party. Once you're set up in a convoy, you can take part in group events such as Forzathon Live, where you take on challenges and earn points. Now I have to say the shared world actually works out quite well. It was fun teaming up with random players to take on Forzathon challenges, and having other players in the world made it seem more lively and dynamic. But if you want to keep things strictly solo, the game also has an offline mode. So that about covers the new features introduced in Forza Horizon 4. So what about the important bits of the game, like driving, which you'll be pleased to know is pretty great. Driving is largely the same as previous Horizon games, and it strikes a nice balance between racing simulation and arcade races like Need for Speed. Best of all, the driving is fully customizable, so if players want to make the game more realistic, they can do so by turning off the various driving assists, but if players want to make the game more casual, they can turn them all on for a helping hand. But it wouldn't be a racing game without events to compete in, and Forza Horizon 4 is jam-packed with stuff to do. There's road racing, nighttime street races, dirt rallying, cross-country races, and even a series of film stunts organised by someone who sounds suspiciously like Sean Bean. Simply put, there's no shortage of things to do in Forza Horizon 4, and I'd estimate there is probably around 30 to 40 hours worth of content depending on your playstyle. However, it's not all perfect, and I do have some minor quibbles with the game. First of all, I thought the game could do a better job at getting players to vary it up with their vehicle choices. Apart from a few events that have special restrictions, players can pretty much pick one car and use it exclusively. I found myself having to consciously make the decision to swap out vehicles every few events in order to keep things interesting, so it would have been nice to see the game encourage players to vary things up a bit. I also found there was a slight bit of repetitiveness that starts to set in after a few hours, and the progression system can feel a bit grindy at times, especially during longer play sessions. But really those are my only complaints, and the game's high points are so high, they made it easy to forgive these issues. Overall, I would recommend Forza Horizon 4 to anyone who likes racing games, as it is comfortably one of the best racing games available today. So there you go folks, those are my initial impressions of Forza Horizon 4, which is out now for the PC and Xbox One. It can be picked up for £50 in the UK and $60 in the US, or it can be played as part of the Xbox Game Pass subscription service. There's also a free demo if you want to try it beforehand. I've been Liam, see you next time.
So that's what Liam thinks of Forza Horizon 4. He was playing it via the Xbox Game Pass, by the way, which if you're unaware and you've got an Xbox or a PC and you haven't tried it yet, I mean, we're not associated or affiliated with Microsoft or anything, it's just a little tip. You can get the trial for free and you can just play a bit of Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, a brand new, huge AAA game that's obviously quite well loved by its fans is there for you to at least try for 14 days. Why would you not? You can play any game for free for 14 days if you could, but you might not know it. It's weird.
It's 14 days and there's like 100 games on there. I did it earlier this year to try State of Decay 2, and you can play Sea of Thieves and all these other big Microsoft games, and you get 14 days to do it for free. Hashtag not sponsored. Just a little tip, innit? If you want to play a bit of Forza Horizon but you haven't got the money, or you don't want to commit.
If you were moved by Liam's words.
And well, I'm assuming that they were. That's the thing, because how could you listen to that man and then not be compelled to buy the thing he's talking about? He's a great salesman. If you want to give Forza Horizon 4 a spin, you can for free with the Xbox Game Pass. Just check it out, innit? But again, not sponsored. I don't know why I'm giving it such a hard sell.
Yeah, it's almost sounding a bit suspicious.
Let's
leave.
Let's.
Yes. It's been a really nice time, guys. We'll see you next week for our not sponsored at all.
Yeah.
It's Friday Tomorrow show.
I just want to thank our friends at Microsoft for that was a joke. Thank you. Goodbye. See you next week.